Okay, guys, we are back. I want to see if the stream is a little bit happier with me. It doesn't seem to be dropping any frames now. I'm gonna give you guys just a second to jump back in, and I think we need a loom link. I'm not 100% sure there. I'm pretty sure it's raining, and so there's just like a family of squirrels out there dancing on my internet or something. So we'll find out if that actually works. But can everybody hear me? And everything seems to be going kind of smoothly. Okay. Typing's lag. Hopefully I'll get you guys to join back in. Sorry about that. We'll just keep going. Alright, all I did was add a trunk. I didn't get very far at all, and we are going to kind of even out. I was making the radius the same amount at the top. And hello, he's back now. I have been asked to say Chewbacca. Okay. Oh, hopefully you got that all figured out. I'm catching up to you guys. Alright, I'm glad you guys followed me here and you're back, and we're just gonna go as fast as we can. Nothing like a little dead time. I've added the chunk in here. We're gonna make this about the right size that we would like to make it. And these guys are just gonna be little fin guys. The idea here is that you would fill up most of your scene with a desktop version of this, but we're gonna make the hero version of it. With all the roots. I probably wouldn't add those to the other tree. And it seems like we're in much better shape as our stream goes. The first thing I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna grab this guy and offset it because I want the roots to come down into the water. And so we're gonna click it and we're gonna go to spine, and we're going to go to generator, and go to sync, and then just push it the opposite direction and get it up in the air a little bit. That looks okay to me. And we're gonna put a bark on this guy. I brought in a couple barks, so I'm just gonna use the main one to start. And it looks like I have not set this quite down because it's pretty glossy. I changed the textures out. I put the gloss down a little bit. And that's not the bark I thought I was using. I'm just gonna go to bark 2. This is one that I used with the converter. We've been using like every other week now at this point. Gonna just drag and drop that one a little better. And we are going to twist the sky to hide. I've got kind of a repeaty pattern. I might end up using this on the shorter one. I think I made a longer bark as well at this third one. This is the one. I was just getting my barks confused. Probably added too many in there. That's enough to get started. We're gonna grab this guy and we're gonna hit spine, and we're going to actually twist this around to hide the texture a little bit because this has kind of a repeat pattern in it. It's really short. And we are gonna get to modeling. The first thing I'm gonna do is take care of the root area that we were working on. And we are going to go ahead and add the template. I'm just gonna add regular old template in here. It's in the decorators, it's in the roots. If you ever add your roots and you don't see them on the tree, it's probably because of the first and last amount. It's set really, really small. Just push these guys down to the bottom, and sometimes they don't show up because your trunk might be way, way, way big. We are gonna add a couple of these just to get started. I don't want to go too much in there. In May, this is a great opportunity to jump in. We're in the newest version of SpeedTree, and so what we're using today will be new to you. I'm just gonna shape these roots up. What I'm gonna do before anything is I kind of hide this ugly part here. And instead of doing a bottom extension, which I could with another root, because it would be really flat, I'm actually just gonna cap this guy off. And so I'm gonna add a cap. And we're gonna set the cap, we're gonna go to Gen, and we're gonna extend it to the bottom. And this guy's gonna hang out there. We'll make it a little prettier later. Right now it doesn't have very many polygons in it, and that's okay because it's a game tree. I really have so many roots that are gonna come off of here that I'm not gonna worry a whole lot about the fact that this is just kind of floating up in the air. We're just gonna take our regular old gravity and push this down a bit. These roots are not very complicated to put together. If you look at the picture, I think we did that when before the stream died. These guys are organic looking, but they're opposite violet taxi coming off. So that's kind of fun. We are gonna make these just a little bigger. But I'm gonna add variance in there, and I'm going to favor the outliers so that I have a lot of variance in there. So now I have some little skinny guys and some big guys. And I make sure clamp to parent is on because that's just always a good reminder for me to not go over 1. Just a reminder, if you go over 1, it's gonna be bigger. Seems like it's clamping it anyways. Right off the bat, we're gonna do some work on our weld. I've got this preset has this weld stretch way up, and we are making a low poly tree. And so that weld's not very pretty right now. And we are going to go to skin, and it's enabled. We're gonna push the offset out just a little bit and see if we can get it a little better. And we are going to make that stretch not quite so exaggerated up there at the top. Got like a 3 up there. We really don't need quite so much of that. I'm gonna see if we can doctor up the texture just a little bit. We are going to see if pushing that out will blend it a little bit better. And not so bad. And right off the bat, if you're looking at this and you're seeing that nasty little triangle, I think these roots are where the player would be walking. So I want my polygons to be down at the bottom. And so we are gonna go just a real fast scribe mode and go ahead and give these guys just a little bit more. I'm going to segments, and right now I have it relative to the radius of the branch, which is great to have on these guys. I'm gonna make sure that I sticky. We're gonna draw out the end of this, and we're gonna take out less of the polygons, radial polygon segments in the end of the branch. Right off the bat, I don't mind that I have so many polygons in here because there's going to be a lot of shape, but we are going to add optimization in there to take out the ones that we don't need. It's going to try its best to take out in the areas that aren't bent. We're going to do the same thing for our little guys. I don't mind that these are 3 radial segments around. We're just going to see what that looks like in the long run, but I am going to add a little bit of optimization in there just so we can build and go. These guys, I want them to be pretty substantial all the way down because I have these little skinny ones too. And so I'm actually going to make these as fat as I possibly can. We're going to put that on a 1. We're going to add a little bit of variance in there as well. We did the same thing with favor outliers, and then we're going to clamp those guys as well. And now that we have our roots based there, we can do a little shaping on the main branch just to help give it some oomph. I'm going to add some polygons just on the very bottom trunk area, and we really just don't want to use them for the rest of it. And so the reason I'm doing that is I'm about to shape this with displacement, and I just need a little bit more going on down there. I'm gonna smush all of these guys. This yellow line, most people understand the parent curve and the blue profile curve. But this is a distribution curve, so I'm not changing the amount, I'm not lowering the amount of segments in there. I'm just pushing them all towards the bottom. So lots of segments and then spaced out segments. And so I'm really gonna keep them in there, and we will use optimization on this just a little bit. So now I have enough to play with here for a game tree. We're going to go to render standard, and we are going to make this a little bit shapely. I got questions about will we do a VFX of the mangrove, and we will probably have a VFX tree of the mangrove on our store later, but I chose to not do it in the stream because we did our Halloween stream last week, and we are trying to alternate our VFX trees and our game industry guys, and that's where we left off. I think the next couple of weeks we're gonna focus on shrubbery. So I feel like if you don't say it, you know, like Sean Connery, it's not a shrubbery. Just catching up to make sure I hadn't missed anything. Y'all talk a lot. I'll let Danny handle y'all. All right, but keep talking. We like that. I'm gonna go to the generator mode, and I'm gonna change how many are on the tree. I believe they have the template is on interval. Yep. And so now I have 3 going around the base. I'm gonna add just a couple more. That means they're all gonna come out of the same area here. And I really just want to sweep, change where these guys are coming out so it looks a little bit more organic. Right now we've got like a starfish going thing where they're just coming out symmetrically. And so we're going to use position and add some variance in there. You'll see them popping out. This is where it's failed. The weld can't attach. So that's why you're not seeing branches there. And we're going to add a little bit of rotation variation. I'm just going to mix it up a little bit. And we're going to try to get rid of those failed welds. Part of the reason why they did that is that they moved up and down a little bit. And so I'm going to let them have a little bit more space in the last. I'm moving them up the tree a little bit, which is perfectly fine. Here we go. I think that I might have gotten a little gung-ho with the need me to add a little some guys that need to be fat in there. There we go. All right, we're doing pretty good. I kind of liked that they accidentally lined up like that because we are going off of these shapes. They're pretty fat all the way down. I might try to do a little bit of that. So let's grab this and we're gonna go to skin. I'm taking the radius profile curve, and at the bottom of the branch I'm gonna add a point in here and just kind of beef up the root a little bit more on the bottom so it's fatter and then thins out. All right, you may have noticed in the other one that I had a little platform thing down there, and I did that to take out the polygons. We're gonna do that today, and one of the ways you can do that is to actually make a mesh for it. So what I've done is I pulled in this little mud texture. You don't have to have a texture in there, but this ground wet. I just pulled in this so I could kind of visualize my scene. When you go to export the tree, you don't need to export this out. This is just extra polygons for your scene, and it probably won't matter. These trees, I'm building them so that they can be flooded. Like you could put them in a scene and have water come up around the roots. And so I don't need all the polygons down here. So the fastest way to just tell them to cool it is to go ahead and add a cutout for this texture. And so what I've done is I've just made a round texture. I used tessellation, and you don't need this many polygons, but it just helped me shape it and get it in there. And so I've already had and saved it out, and I'm going to add a leaf mesh, which is a little bit strange. You might go, what you doing? We are going to put that material on there. That's my mud wet. And this leaf here should show up. I've got it in gen mode, and I got first and last. And it's giving me leaf is removed because it was blown away. I don't remember what that error meant. And Yes, just to reiterate, this is SpeedTree 9. This is in beta, and I'm in the games modeler. Um, so, yes, this is all brand new. We're gonna go ahead and sign, make sure I got the right one. I had the wrong material signed on there. All right. It says I have a season setting on this, and I don't have a season setting on that, so I'm not quite sure what's going on there. And I asked. Not quite sure what's going on there, so we'll come back to that. We are going to go ahead and shape the bottom and put these guys on there. I'm going to put, right now they're on bifurcation, which is fine. I think I'm going to go ahead and add another set of small, tiny ones coming off of these guys. I'm just going to copy and paste this guy and put that on there. And I'm really going to make sure that all of these guys are just well below the surface. So now I have a ton of them going on. On these guys, I think instead of bifurcation, I'm going to put them on interval just so I can control the height there. I'm going to put it on interval 2 so they come out on either side of the branch instead of one coming up like there. And that way they're kind of parallel going out. We're going to push these maybe a little bit farther down to the bottom just so that they're there, and then make these guys tinier. And I'm going to use a forest. I'm going to turn on planar for these guys, and then turn on planar towards the front, and then kind of make them droop down just so they have a little bit of fun shape going on there. I think that for the same thing, we just want to change up the positioning and a little bit of the rotation on these guys so that I set that in reverse order. So they're all doing different things there. I changed the drop down. I put that leaf mesh in there and it was dropping it. I am apparently in the wrong season. I'm in winter, and so I was all the way at the end, and that's something to make sure of while you are modeling. And I forgot what that's what the exclamation was telling me. So thank you, Michael. Now that we've got our leaf on there, don't know if you missed that. I just made the ground mud texture and made the cutout. We are just going to make this sky facing. I switched to no mode on accident there. We're gonna go sky facing and then just make a couple of these guys. So I have it on absolute. You can use interval. I'm just gonna add maybe like 4 of these into the scene. I'm gonna make them a little bigger. Maybe just switch it up a little bit. And we are going to add the smallest amount of vertex noise to these guys. And we're going to curl them kind of like they're little hills. So they're like little lumps in the ground. Then we are going to, I have these little pond things. I'm just going to hit the screen space move around keys. So I'm hitting the W on my keyboard. And I'm just moving these into place. And basically I just want them just below the surface. That was the planer, I didn't mean to grab that one. This is basically a cheat. Not we'll call it that. There we go. And so let's just kind of see. It's hard to see through the ground sometimes. We'll see where those guys are. We're going to grab this guy. We're going to right click it on the leaf mesh. We are going to say make a geometry force from the selected. This is going to be our ground. I'm going to put a 2 on it because I already had one on the scene. And we are going to click the geometry force. If you don't have the little gizmo showing in the scene, you can find it in the forces. And I've got ground 2 selected, and now I've got some properties that show up. We are going to make this prune. So all we need to do is set it to attract the roots, and we want to prune them. And in SpeedTree 8, you only had one option for your force mesh or geometry mesh, and it kind of had to do all the same behavior. In SpeedTree 9, on every single branch generator, you can click this guy and say forces, and we're going to set it to ground 2. And they all disappeared just now, and that's because they have not been computed yet. The leaf and the trunk are computing at the same time, and so there's a little guy here that will tell you that you need to go and change the pass. All right, pass is in the gen tab, and you need to put the trunk on pass 2, and everything will show back up. So a little strange. You have to remember that there's a little bit of an order system there. And now we're going to go through, and that trunk, we're going to set it to forces, and it's ground 2. Roots, forces, ground 2. You can multi-select and all put them on, and that'll save you some time. And now we are chopping off here, so we're good. You can make more of these leaves. Might need like 2 more just because they're a little small. And I'm just going to move them to try to get out as many branches down there as I possibly can. And for the sake of time, we'll just make them a little bigger so that make sure we got everything, even though it was taken out just a little too much. So now we got most of that out, and then, okay. We are on our way. We're gonna go ahead and go to the top, and there we go. We need to add some shape. I think I forgot to add displacement to this guy. I said I was going to. I'm gonna turn off that grid spine for a second here. You changed the light. There we go. So we want to start making this actually pretty and paint looking. And right now, something that's really killing it are these twigs have no shape to them, and these guys have no shape to them. We're gonna go in here, and because we are pruning it with the force mesh, I'm not going to use late noise. I'm going to go to spine properties and use a little bit of early noise, and we're gonna use a little bit of path to give these guys some shape. I want the noise to appear on the tree a little bit earlier on, so I'm going to make it on this part of the branch kind of come out early there. And we're going to make the turbulence a little bit tighter, so we've got some bumps in there. And I'm going to draw a path. I'm just going to turn the amount on a little bit. We're going to go draw, and I'm going to make a elbow looking shape. That's probably a little too bumpy. And don't worry about the little end pieces, because once you turn draw off, it makes you a regular curve. You can grab and correct these guys if you need to, or move them from there. And let's see how we did. Just kind of add some swoops in there. Should help us out a little bit. I'm just gonna kind of put some variance in there, so turn them around and see if we can get a little bit more elbow easy in there. And we're gonna do the same thing for the rest of these guys. just to make it look a little bit more organic. I'm gonna add some early noise. We're going to maybe twist these around just a little bit more. And kind of moving it around. And that's just tweaking it around. One of the things here is that the welds are all the same. And so I'm going to go to Skin tab. And I'm going to change the weld just a little bit. We don't want to do anything too extreme in here because this is a pretty low poly tree. So we're going to change the upper scale just a little bit and make sure that, turn it all the way around, make sure that all of them are kind of within their correct amounts there. We can add just a little bit in here. You want to make sure you don't do any negative numbers in here. And see if that helps us out just a little bit. Another thing we might do to add some shape and things on there is to add a decorator and add a couple of lumps and just put them towards the base. This tree's bark actually has these little, I'll call them zits. I have little bumpy knot things. I don't know if I have a picture of that. These guys. But sometimes on the very, very young ones, they have these little like pod-like things that grow out on there. There we go. And so you can't really see these. And when you're doing a games tree, you want to make sure that if you add something like a decorator, you're getting the most out of your poly counts, and you really want to be able to see it from back here. So right now, this isn't doing anything for me, it's just wasting. I just added a couple hundred, just at a little branch here. So we want to make sure this counts. We're going to go to geometry and offset it a lot more and make it a little bigger. And now it's a big old bump that actually looks like something in the end. The shape there is not great. We're going to smooth that out a little bit. So this is the shape of the bump coming out. You'll see it sort of kind of starts to cone if you're like pinched in like that. We don't want that. We want to just kind of lift up and make it more of a knot shape. We're going to, I think we made it a little too big. We're going to add a couple of them in there, like 3 per branch maybe, sure. And then we're going to push them towards the base so that they're really in the prominent spot here. They're going to get lost down there. We're just going to add them towards the top of the branch, like little bump things. I don't know what you want to call those. It's kind of weird. We want to, like anything, make something and then always add variance to it. It's a good rule of thumb. Gonna add some of these guys on there, maybe push it out the further, and then I think I added probably too many for a game tree. We're just kind of like, maybe, yeah, knock them out a little bit. All right, we're gonna keep going. We're gonna go to our main trunk now, and we're gonna go to displacement. Now, in the material, I have, wow, the screen just did like a huge jump where it caught up there. While we are shaping this thing here, what I'm going to use is the height map. So this map, this material that I brought in, I have a flat height map in there, but if I load in Mangrove Bark 2 and use my, I'll make these a little bigger so you can see them. There we go. I have a vertex displacement map or height map. I'm going to load that into the height channel for the material. This is a little different than V8. I'm not using the displacement tab. You can still use that. You have that still. You have to go to Window, Assets, Displacements, but I'm just show you the alternate way now. I've loaded a new map in. I'm going to go to the display actual bump from this guy. I give it just a little bit more texture there. We're gonna kind of shape this guy just a little bit, maybe with the radius profile curve. I'm gonna add something so it's a little chunky down there. Just for kicks and giggles, we're going to add some other types of displacement. We're going to add some fine in there. It's on the wrong tab. I'm going to turn off that fine displacement towards the top where if you guys remember, I took polygons out up there. And now we are going to start shaping this guy around. I'm going to use the bend tool for this. Realistically, if you were doing a games tree, what you would want to do is make this entire thing as procedurally as possible. So the first mode is in generator mode. I'm going to hit save for a second because we haven't done that in a while, and that's always a good idea. Just catching up. All right, and so we would want to make our tree mostly with this just so you can reuse it in your scene. What I'm about to do is technically a node edit. If you guys are unfamiliar with SpeedTree, you want to work in generator mode for most of the time, and then node edits are going to be your specific per branch edits. And freehand mode is brand new in V8. I got a list of things here that are all edits that are very art orientated. They're basically for shaping, sculpting, and adding features. So one of the things we're going to do to this trunk to make it really interesting is try to add some of the features down at the bottom, like these cracks and bumps. And we're going to use the bend tool. This is a very windy tree that kind of folds in and out of itself. And so we are going to do that part first. We're going to use freehand, and I have bend. The bend tool is basically this little doohickey that looks like a worm. You can grab the middle of it and slide it up and down. It's not on the branch right now. It's because I have sink in the tree, and so that's a little bit strange. But bear with me there. This is the part you grab to pull it out. And you can change the size, or you can twist it if you need to make it a very, very tight bend. So what we're gonna do is just kind of give it some shape there. It's so hard to use this with sync on. I really should have thought that through before. I'm gonna hide the other parts of the tree where I use the bend tool just to shape it, and just so that we can see this a little bit more accurately, I'm going to take the sink off for a second. We'll put it back when we're done. We're gonna go ahead and add the bend tool that way. There we go. And now this is actually along the spine. And so really, really early on, I'm just going to grab and bend it. I'm gonna make it a little softer now. And this is in screen space, so if you want to turn it, you would go ahead and scroll in. I'm using the mouse a lot for this. I'm not holding down anything. I'm just gonna grab that, and then this is the part it's pivoting from. So I'm gonna just kind of roll it around. And there's not a whole lot going on because this is just the main one. And I could get a lot of the shape by just using noise or my generator tools, but we're just doing this one for the sake of bendy bends. So I really want the top of the tree to kind of crown back up just so I have a nice canopy up that way. And so we are going to keep going there. I don't know. And then I think there could be a little more going on down here. So let's go ahead and get our bend tool down at the bottom again and just kind of knock it around a little bit. Gonna drag it out now and just kind of loop it around on itself. And if you have a bend that's too sharp, you can pull it back out if you need to. If you need to stretch, you can hold the space bar and actually pull it out, and it'll actually add length. One of the things that you can do on accident is twist up your texture a little bit. So this turn tool is actually built in. I haven't done it in a long time, but if you overbent it and you kind of been twisting around, you might want to be careful of that. And we're gonna pull that back up and pull that back up, and then just kind of zoom back and look at it. And you know, it's a little generic, but we're just doing little bends as we go. Something like that will work, and then we're good. And we're gonna grab the, we're gonna put the sync back the way it was. It was on negative 5.61 or something like that. And let's see if it stayed happy. Yeah, we're still good. All right, I think these guys are still fine. And that is our new Shrivelly Arty branch. We're gonna go ahead and add our second set of branches on. I just added the branch template. It gave me one. I'm going to put it on interval. And I'm going to, I don't really think we need these a little lower as they are. I'm going to push them up a little bit. And we're going to mix and match there. I think there's too many on the tree now. I'm decreasing the frequency. And I really just want some main branches to hold my canopy shape. And since they are still pretty prominent branches, these ones would get welds, and then everything after this on a game tree is not going to have welds. I'm going to use the planar shape that I have already added to the scene. So I added I added a force earlier for planar, and then, or planar, I don't know if I'm saying that right. And I'm grabbing the branch. We're going to turn it on, and I really want it at the top of the branch. And I don't really want it at the bottom. And we're gonna just add gravity to the tip of the branch to pull that down a little bit. We're gonna go turn it on just a little bit so it's droopy. And then I don't want gravity at the top of the trees. I'm gonna use the parent curve according to the trunk. And just kind of drop down those top branches so that they still go up. And the length kind of worked out on accident. So they look pretty cool. And we are going to bend these guys as well instead of using procedural edits. That's one of the things I did in the other file, was kind of wrapped these branches around on each other. They look organic enough. I'm good with it. I'm going to hit save real fast. We are at 14K right now. And so what we really want to do is turn optimization on already. There we go. And just for the sake of shaking the canopy, I'm going to come back to the bend tool and really wrap these around, but I want to make sure that orienting my branches is still easy so I can get that nice round shape. So the next thing we'd be adding to the tree is a spine-only branch. So I'm going to do that by adding a just a regular old branch and attach it to the right thing so it doesn't look like a weird thing coming out the bottom there. We're going to put it on this guy. For these, I keep the weld on. It's going to be set to skin, and we're going to put it on spine only, and this is going to hold our frond. So we're going to go ahead and add a frond template, which is down here, up here, and these are going to be our bare branches. I've gone ahead and made the textures. I'm going to show you my cluster file real fast. All I did was make a branch in window viewport XY plane, and I have it sitting on that little guy there. I shaped this a little bit with the bend tool, but this one was my plain one, and I made a really arty one and it didn't look as good. Sometimes that happens. So I ended up having one that was really, really curly, and there was too much going on. So just, you can kind of play around with these. And after you shape and get these things where you want it, you're going to go File, Export Material. And I did these at 2K maps, and I sent out the maps that I would like. You can add or subtract, or if you need to do a roughness, you can add that in. And then I've brought it into here. I've got it loaded in here. I actually added two. After you load in that texture, which is, you're gonna use that plus sign, plus sign to add it in. You're gonna go to cutouts and meshes. I'm gonna go hit edit, and we're gonna zoom in on this guy a little bit. The mesh that I've created for this is gonna be our LEDs, so high, 0, and then 1 and 2. The branch doesn't bend or curl as much, so you can do a flatter mesh and go way lower on your poly counts on these bare branches. You just kind of play around with that in a second. I've got IDs, anchors that I've set 1, so I'm gonna have a leaf cluster coming off here, here, and here. And then I saved these guys out. Just wanted to save on the texture a little bit, just so that you guys don't have the tedious part of loading in some textures in there. We're gonna go to the front and hit material. We're gonna select that texture, and that was my bear. And from there, we want to make sure these guys look exactly like branches. Right off the bat, you'll notice that it's floating, and that is because the frond is not all the way to the end. So you're going to go to frond geometry and make sure that boundary starts right at the 0 to push them up there. You can control the frond's location and where it's sitting by the branch before it. So these are all kind of pointing to the ground, and we really want them to go up and out. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna put these guys on, instead of absolute, I'm going to put them on interval, and I'm gonna put them on 2, and that's gonna ensure me that they come out parallel with that branch there. And so I've got a good shape going. And instead of having the frond texture now, which comes out parallel, I don't really want to do like a planar tree. I'm actually going to turn these guys. So the roll on frond, I'm going to max out the profile curve. And I'm going to add some variance in here. So these are all turned different directions. And now if you look at it, for game trees, this is especially important. You want to hide the fact that those are actually not real branches, so you don't really want that right there is what we're trying to avoid. We're going to go a little bit farther with that. I'm going to go ahead and just pop them up. There we go. And let's see, we're going to add leaves and stuff hiding them on there, so it should be okay. I'm going to do another set of branches that go up because I want some fill and I want a nice crown shape. And so I've got these guys set up, and we're just going to do the same thing. I'm going to copy and paste these guys. I'm selecting both of them at the same time, pasting them on there, adding them to the branch. But on these branches, they are going to go, so I had added interval 2. I'm going to turn these guys so they are facing upwards. So I'm going to go interval 1, and I'm going to roll these guys around so they're up. And I'm going to add just a little, less of these guys, these are fill branches. And that helps me control placements. I am going to add a extension on these branches because I didn't realize that it was off. And then that way you have a crown going up. On the top one, because I do want this one to point all the way up on this branch, I had gravity turned on for it. And I had it according to the trunk. I'm going to see if I can get that one to point. It might be from the planar. We're going to take this one and do the same thing on the trunk. And just turn the branches up there. There we go. I get a little bit more of a crown shape up the top. All right, and we are ready to add our next cluster file. They got some questions about LEDs, and we're probably going to get to check the LEDs in just a second. So if you guys bear with me, we'll probably get to LEDs. And we are going over 4, and we got this stream started a little bit late, but we're just gonna keep going and keep streaming. So sometimes I'm slower than I think I'm gonna be. All right. We've got our cluster file in there, and I'm going to just show you my thought process for this, but I'm not actually going to make the cluster file with you guys. So on hero trees, I typically have a larger cluster that looks like this. And this one's just a branch that is going to hold more, and then I'm planning on having another cluster that comes off of it that makes the shape of the leaf. So if you look at the leaves on these guys, which is number one first thing to do, these are waxy. They have this little spiraling pattern that we're going to go out there. And so I really just want this to be a base, but it's not really holding that exact pattern, so I can set my second set from these bare spots and make a more 3D one. So what I've done from here is exported these in. And I also made another cluster file. I made 3 on this one. I'll show you the small one. This is more of a hero. It looks like I didn't load in the bark. And this is more of a hero small cluster file here, but I've arranged these on the branches themselves pointing up and pushed them to the end, and then done like an absolute 5 on these to get them, or Phyllotaxy World 8, to get them to appear all the way on the end like this. On all of these leaves and cluster files, I have the orientation on sky influence so that they face towards the screen. I've also taken the time to make sure that the textured lighting are a little bit glossier than they would be in real life, but that's because I want them to pop in the sunshine. And I've also taken a second to make sure that the material normal is giving me some good detail in there. So on this guy, I might actually go to skin, and we're going to go to puffiness. And you see I have it on there. You can kind of puff these out a little bit, or you can add things like variance amounts in here so the light hits them a different direction. After you export all of your textures out, I'm gonna go back to our main and have them loaded in. For this one, I just use cluster 1 and 3, and text apparently. There we go. All right. Ooh. Okay, cluster 1 spring and cluster 3 spring. What I've done is I've made cutouts for these guys, and I put just 4 anchors on them and then saved them out for my LODs. We're gonna hit the excuse me, the frond, and go ahead and add leaf mesh. You're automatically going to be added, sorry, the leaf is the leaf mesh in this one. You don't want to use batch leaves for this, which it won't show you off the, it tries its hardest to not make you use the right thing, to make you use the right thing. I said that backwards. And we are going to put the material on here. It's going to be our spring texture. You're going to be able to see everything right now. Just make sure if you can't see the texture that you are in the spring timeline. Y'all are doing different alternatives for LODs, which is fine, but ours are better. I'm allowed to say that, right? No. All right, we want to get these to the right size, so we're going to go to skin and just kind of make these quite the same size. I'm using the little man here to guide me. Oftentimes in the game trees, if you need to fill it, you can always make your leaves bigger, but it can look a little silly if they're too big. I definitely think that a few of them are getting knocked out or something, but first thing I like to do when I'm adding these to the branches is I like to put them all sky facing in order to shape them. that is a personal preference, but it really helps me to keep going. I think I've mentioned this the past week, but the leaf orientation is something people struggle with, and it's because you have a lot of sliders in here to keep track of. SpeedTree wants you to work through these in the order that they are in the column. It'll help you kind of keep track. So once you get them situated, that will help you a bit. So I'm gonna make sure that these are coming off the anchor. When you set something on an anchor, you guys might not have realized this, but these little tags are here for a reason. This is the direction that they start in. And so aligning things that are on anchors, you want to keep in mind that if you set something in there like that or like that and are all different directions, these twisties mean something different. So for on this one, I just kind of have them spacing out. So we're not going to change the align very much. We're going to use fold to push these up and down. I basically kind of want them to droop out a little bit. I'm going to fold them out. I'm making a nice crown shape there. We're going to bend them a little bit so that they have some shape. Set some fold on there. And then we're going to add some random amounts to both of these. Rule of thumb is that I always have twist on in some varying degree of variance. Just kind of helps pull these things different directions and shapes. I think they're a little too down now. I'm going to use the curve here to really help us give some variance in there. So instead of to the front, I'm going to say that big branch, which is that guy right there. I'm going to have them pop up and just kind of see if that shapes around there. We are going to add some more in there. I think we need to change up the size a little bit. So I'm going to go ahead and make the ones according to the inside of the tree just a little bigger. You can do this kind of make them a bigger at the top of the tree just so that they fill out up there. And then we're going to go ahead and add our top branch. So our second one that we had was this cluster 1, and we're going to go ahead and add that one on there. I'm only setting up one branch here because you're really going to copy and paste the other one that we added. And these guys are kind of already set up. I'm going to put just spring on there for right now. Okay. Now these I've constructed to be sort of like main branches. I'm going to do the same thing, but I'm not going to push them all the way up. They're already kind of spread out on the ones below. I've got too many of them, I think. And there are definitely too many repeats in here. One of the things I did was I took the time to make two textures. One is a little sparser, so it's got some sticks in there, and that will help. So on the material tab, you're going to add that sparse one in. And we're going to make these guys all different sizes. Probably should have given them a little more space. And I'm kind of lift these guys up a little bit direction wise, and then they're not really, I haven't done any fold or curl on them yet, so they don't look super realistic. I'm going to do just a little bit. I think I'm just going to add variance and the rest of this and see what we get. You'll notice I did all of this zoomed out, which is totally kind of my style of working on things. I like to see the big picture. But if you wanted to do this and really see the shape of what you're working on, you can hit the focus key, which is the F on your keyboard, and go in here and build out just a single branch so you can really get a feel for it. And now that I've done that, I can see that I've added just too many clusters in here in general. It's a little cluttered. So I really want to do something a little bit more organized than we've got going. These guys just got smaller than I intended. I put so much variance in there, and I said favor the outliers. I'm gonna just not do that as much. There we go, make them match just a little bit. And I think I have too many on the tree. I'm gonna use knockout. Because I do have them on the anchors there to just take out a lot of these guys. I feel like these guys are out, but they really need to be... They're a little messy. That is my final conclusion on that. So, I'm adding very small amounts in here just to get these guys correct. You can only curl and fold as much as you have polygons in your cutout. So right here I don't have a good curl because I didn't add a point here and a point here. And you can see sometimes when you're sliding these things back and forth, you're like, oh, well, I need to curl that, and I'm doing like this, and I'm like, why am I getting that shape? Go back to your cutout and fix it from there. For on this tree though, I'm going to unfocus for a second just to show you I'm at 16K, and we really are going to have quite a few of these in this scene, so I'd like to keep it under 20K for at least one tree. Gonna make sure that we're up to date on the chat. I'll notice the sun is like rapidly going down and the darkness in the room is just... We got some weirdness there. Alright, the last thing I'm going to do on the stream today is we added these big main branches out, and they really aren't anything spectacular. They're just kind of boring, and we want a twisty, fun, finished product. So I'm going to hide the leaves for a second, and I'm going to hide the roots for a second too. And we are, now it looks like I added poop to the scene. So we're just going to hide that and pretend that I didn't say that on live stream. We're going to go ahead and shape these guys out a little bit, and we're going to use the bend tool just a little bit more. And we're going to kind of finish adding our details here. Ideally, you would finish shaping up your canopy and add your seasons on, and then skip to this step. So we're going back to these guys. We're gonna hit the skin tab and make these a little bit more different weights, fatness, I don't know what to call that, radius, there we go. And we're gonna go to the freehand mode, and I'm just gonna bend some of these guys out. And I think it'd be really cool to do sort of a sweeping motion around the edge. And one of the things that you can do with these guys is I'm stuttering so much today. So make them wrap around the trunk, and that's really something that would be hard and painstaking to do if it was a procedural edit. And so this bend tool is going to let you get really arty and make sure that they don't run into each other. I'm just going to kind of bend that back. You probably can't hear it. These edits are a little harder on the GPU, and that's why I did turn off these guys to help just focus in on what I was doing also. I'm gonna smooth that bump out there just a little bit. And maybe make this a little smaller so that I can get it not quite so close. And so I ran into the other guy. I'm gonna try to fix that by just bending it out again, and let's see what we look like. These guys don't have any shape on them right now, and that's something that we're gonna add a little bit of procedural bumps. I'm gonna use fine displacement and then kind of go down. If I add too much, you are gonna get little spiky bits in there. You can see where optimization took out all of my polygons in the middle there, and I don't mind so much because it's way back there and you can't tell. Next thing we're gonna do is go back to freehand mode, come down here to the main trunk, and we're gonna use our displacements. This is just painting. You click on the branch you want to edit, or accidentally double click like I did just now. And we're going to hold the space bar, and that'll make your paintbrush follow the branch. And we're going to decide how big our brush is and how soft we're. You can control these up here. If there's any size or how soft it is, make the fall off a little bigger. And the strength, I'm just gonna keep it on a medium amount. Before I paint on here, I'm gonna find something like a detail that's in the texture, which this spot right here. And I'm going to go to painting the feature verses on here. We're gonna go to scribed, and we're gonna add some feature verses. I'm holding down the space bar and I'm just pressing to add in here. After you add these guys, this is where we're gonna sculpt. If you need to change out and have less of these guys, you would go to the segments and freehand, which is brand new, and control the density. You can add or take away from what you've already painted on. For this, I'm gonna add quite a bit because I kind of want to do something fun here. We're gonna go back to freehand mode. We're gonna click on displacement, and I'm gonna zoom in. I might make my brush just a little bit smaller, and let's see what we get. And you might want to paint in the, I already know that I added all my polygons there, just so you can see the texture and see what you're getting stretching wise. This is still a painted displacement. Basically, it's just painting a map in here. So your textures still have to fit along the map, and if you go too extreme here, you will have some texture stretching. I'm gonna make this even smaller. And just kind of come in here and bump that one ridge up. And kind of pull it around and see, wow, that's really not great. So we're gonna clear, we're gonna start over that one. We're gonna go back to plus and minus and kind of do that. There we go. I just had the strength on a little too high, and that wasn't quite what I wanted. You can also smooth these guys. You can make your brush really big here. And so say I added that, but I want it to be just a little bit less. I end up using that a lot. And so now I have this nice little divot thing. I could draw a face on here. I could give this thing a lot. We added all the polygons down here, and I have a knot again in the texture. So we're gonna do the same thing. Just kind of grab the vertices real fast. I'm holding the space bar again, and I guess you probably want to see that in scribe mode. Oh, and I'm in smooth, and that's why it wasn't adding. I'm going to add plus minus there again. Make this guy a little bit smaller. Just want to control the area that I'm adding that one thing in. And we're gonna go back to our displacement, back to our render, and kind of pop that guy out as well. I'm just gonna make a big knot there. They've got Danny making up some tree idioms to throw your way about making cool art. So, and thank you, Angel 8. My name is Sarah. All right. Now I've got a little weird noggin thing on there. I don't know what to call that. If you puff out the area where you don't have as much polygons, that's fine as well. So I could spend a lot of time doing that. I definitely get super detailed in there. You can use this as well on a tube if you're making a fruit, or you want to pinch in the end, or just do some fine detail work. It's fantastic and fast, and we're big fans. Some of the other things in here that we haven't showed you yet, I'm gonna go back to generator mode for a second, and we're going to unfocus, and we're going to turn on the rest of everything for a second and see how we did. Oh, we made it like really chaotic in there, but I don't hate it. So One of the things that we have added in there is beforehand you had to convert everything to hand draw if you wanted to just place something. So we added this handy little thing that is click place. And what you can do is you can ID your branch, and if you have this set as your click place branch, you can hold the spacebar and add another one. So right now it was on the roots, and you change that ID in the generator mode. I believe it's in gen mode. I don't remember where it is. It has an ID just like an anchor where you can load those in, and that's what those guys are for. So it's for people who want to fine tune and really jump in there and add stuff. I really actually like that it added up there because it automatically curved down. I don't know how that happened. It was a happy accident. Look at that happy accident. They aren't running into each other. They're just kind of going around. I don't know how that happened, but I'm here for it. All right, we're gonna wrap up our stream for the day, and I'm just gonna show you the final tree once again. What I did for this last guy. Basically, after I finished everything out, it'll take a second to load. I forgot about that. I have a lot of stuff going on in here. After I finished everything, I grabbed the main trunk that I had drawn off and just put a 2 in there to add a second one. And my idea for this was that if you were going to put this into Unreal, you could line these guys up and make that same scene with the water and this guy here. And so atmospherically, you can reuse this one tree to make your path. So I didn't do as much sculpting on that guy, but that is that. All right, next time we see you guys, I will try to do more with LODs. The next thing we're making is very, very simple. You would need to get it to put it in your scene. We're gonna set it with wind and LODs, and that will be more the focus of that lesson. And so thank you guys all for joining in. I really appreciate you guys for jumping on and talking to us, and I think there was a lot of questions that I covered today. I'm not very good at arting and reading at the same time, apparently, but we appreciate you guys, and we can't wait to see what you guys build if you want to tweet at us. So have a good week. Oh, someone asked a really good question at the end and I didn't see it till now. I guess I can explain really fast. I'm not gonna kill this chat if we have a good question. You guys saw just briefly I was controlling the normals from the actual cluster plane, but if you want to do that from the tree, you have a bunch of lighting controls. We didn't do a whole lot of lighting or talk. I think we did on the birch. If you go back a couple of live streams, we did some lighting in there. I have these on, excuse me. I keep clicking the wrong thing. It is just because I can't think where they are. Okay. I have these on and flip backside normals off. So you can do, this is the traditional V8 way, and you'll notice the deck pockets. This is the new way. You can turn these back off. This is actually not quite PBR-ish, but with these guys, you can grab their cluster file and you can use the skin tab to control a little bit of the lighting. Now, these up here are more toward the leaf clusters on the tree itself, and then these controls down here are what we use in the cluster file to shake up the lighting there. So I've got these guys pretty shiny, and if you wanted to get good lighting on the tree where the outside is lit more than the inside, you can grab these guys and use parent puffy or puffiness to shift the lighting. What you would do for that is show normals And you can see they've got the little guy there, and my normals are facing out. But if I wanted to really exaggerate that, I can push these all different ways. Parent puffiness will show you if you click on one of them. The best way to do this is to do this per leaf. But you click on this guy at the end here, and if you have hints on, it will show you what it's referencing if you're using parent puffiness. It should be showing you. So if I change this to intermediate or to local, it's actually changing the path, and it should be showing you. I don't know if it's just a beta build that it's not in there right now, or if I had it turned off in some way. But so for these, because the end result is such a crowned canopy, I really just want the light to be pointing out. So right now, these on the bottom, you can use the parent curve here to do a little bit more local pup. There it is. It's just me. So you see them, it's hard to see them moving. I've got the normals up, and then I'm pushing them out there, the puffiness there. Now what I might do is not do the top of the tree quite as puffed as the bottom, so that these guys are pointing more out. We probably will have a stream that's just nothing but lighting, because those are very abstract things. It depends on the scene that you're putting it in, and how you've set up the cluster area. So just wanted to answer that real fast. Oh, I didn't even, y'all. I was on the wrong screen the entire time. I hate myself right now. I switched the screens and I didn't see. Alright, what I was showing you is this parent puppy. I can't believe I did that. Oh man, streaming's a mess. I am fairly new to this. Alright. I'll show you that real fast. I have the parent puffiness, and I'm saying this is a local. And so I'm using this to push the normals out so that on the bottom of the tree, the lighting is facing out. So if I was a player down here on the ground, I would get more light bouncing off there. Or you can make a spherical puffy shape if you back out a little bit. You can use that curve to say that you don't want it at the top and use this. So that's going to take a lot of turning around and making sure you've got it exactly how you want it. And I'm so sorry you guys missed me editing at the end there. That is hilarious. All right, we're coming up on time here, so I'm going to go ahead and bid you guys goodbye. And thank you again. So bye, everybody.
So you can do you or follow along.